Yes. Have you got a top knot, Jack?
I was blurring an outlet.
Yeah. Oh my God, you look like Sam when he done Dare to Dip. Remember that guy?
Yeah, no, my hair's really long now, mate.
Yeah. Shame you pussied out on the beard because that looked really long by now. Yeah. I'm in no fit state to comment on the beard.
So, hello, Sam.
Hi, Jack.
Back once again.
Back once again with the... No, I'll stop there.
Nope, don't do that. How you been, buddy?
I'm good, mate. You're looking really well, Jack. You're looking really well.
Yeah,
Been
I mean, yeah, I'm good, mate. My sides are getting very grey now. I need to get these trimmed up. I keep getting loads of comments at work. People going, "Oh, you're getting greys, mate. You're getting old."
With the top knot, and that's what they're commenting on.
Fuck off, mate.
I grew a top knot in the pandemic, and
you can't even
people
see it,
people love to comment on it, don't they?
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, it suits you.
It's only going to get longer. I'm just growing the hair.
Yeah. Well, you said that about the beard, and it never happened.
I won by a lot.
Well, we both lost, so it's irrelevant.
I won by a lot.
Well, we both lost, so it's irrelevant. All right, I look a state. I've just flown straight here from work.
Flown?
Pretty much. No, I drove in.
I was going to say, Felixstowe got an airport, mate. Ipswich used to have one, but...
Yeah. No, I just drove then.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, I got off work a bit late, so I was shot back.
Yeah.
To do this podcast.
And who have we got coming on the show today?
We've got Michael coming on today. I don't know much about his story. I've just followed him on Instagram for a while. And he's very good. is the best way I can describe it. Just every time I listen to him, you get people that you follow on Instagram. There's a lot of people you just push through the stories and you don't watch them. With his, I actually take time to think, right, I'm going to watch this. Like, there's a couple of people I've got on Instagram like that. But I'll be honest. I'd say to him, some of the stuff I don't agree with him on, with some of his views, but I respect his views. But 90% of what he says is gold, and I really relate to it. And
so he's a recovering addict. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, but I don't think he likes to. I don't speak for him. We'll ask him them questions, but I don't think he likes to identify as someone who's not an addict anymore. We had this conversation briefly over Instagram the other day, so it's good. Like whereas me personally, I have to accept it and acknowledge that I'm always going to be an addict with something. Like even now, I'm addicted to social media and stuff. I'll always be addicted to stuff. Whereas he sees it as a different point, I think, where he doesn't want to be. But we'll ask him about it anyway, because I don't want to speak for him. But...
Sure thing, bud. Let me invite him in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but we're piss poor organisation, aren't we, Sam? But it all works out in the end.
It all falls together. It falls into place.
No, I'm saying, yeah.
I've never heard you say that before.
What?
In it.
You know what I'm saying, yeah? In it, blood. Yeah, listen,
my hamstrings, Jack. Jesus.
Your hamstrings?
Yeah, they're tight. I was working back as well, but the way you lean over the plate and lift yourself up.
Hang about.
For some reason, yeah.
Are you training, Sam?
Oh, I'm in training, mate.
But
I love my new little gym. It's a big gym.
You don't train, surely?
Mate, you don't get guns like these if not training. Sorry, we're like two of the most unorganised people in the world. I've just shot home from work. And we're getting the Zoom together and everything. We like to do face to face. But whereabouts are you from, Michael?
I'm in Essex.
Okay. Oh, hey, not too far then.
Cool. Yeah, whereabouts you boys?
Felixstowe. Jack's in Ipswich. I'm
Ipswich. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not far at all. That's not far at all. Yeah. Tell you that. So what's that, about an hour or so down the road from me, really? It's not far.
Yeah. I do meetings in Colchester, Colchester way every Tuesday, so that's near your way, isn't it?
Yeah, how long does it take you to get to Colchester?
About 45 minutes from here.
Half hour for
probably,
me.
Yeah, so probably it's about an hour and 15 minutes. About an hour and 15 minutes, hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
Down to it. Colchester.
That's cool. That's interesting. Perhaps we could do a part 2 and do one in person as well.
That'd be cool, man. Yeah. That'd be really good. That'd be really good.
I appreciate you coming on, mate. I was just speaking to my co-host here, Jack. I don't know when I started.
Jack, by the way.
Yes, nice to meet you, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know when I started following you, but I've been following you for a while now, and I didn't want to do any speaking for you, but I just briefly spoke to Jack and just said that I've got a few people on Instagram where I'll just like push through the stories and don't really watch them. But when I see your story pop up, I'll take the time to make sure I can listen.
Oh,
and
appreciate
everything.
that.
Yeah,
I must be saying something.
Definitely, mate. And what I said to Jack as well is like I agree with like 90% of what you say. So there's some things that I don't necessarily that are different to me, but 90% of what you say I think is golden, man. And even the stuff that I see things slightly differently, I really appreciate your view on stuff and that as well. And it gets my brain ticking over, and that's what I like.
It'd be a fucking boring world if we all agreed on everything, right, man?
Yeah,
absolutely would be. Yeah.
Absolutely,
and
mate.
It's like the message I sent you, and I said, "Look, this was a massive help for me," and you was like, "No, like I respect it, dude, but that's not for me." And I'm like, "That's fucking cool, dude, man." Like,
but it's interesting as well, and I think like the way I see things, that's what I wanted to talk about as well. Like the way I see things, that a group of people would see it that way, and the way you see things, a group of people, so everyone be helping each other by the way they view it anyway. And what was said was that you don't like to identify yourself as an addict, do you? You like to. I'll let you tell you.
Identify. Hold on. So I'll say I was an alcoholic. I was an alcoholic. Yeah, I wasn't. So with mine, see, I look at addict. No, we're all the same. Everything's the same. Porn addiction, it's all the same for me. It's all the same. It's all an escape from ourselves. We're just trying to get away from ourselves.
Yeah,
that's how I look at it. But I'd identify as an alcoholic because if I was to relapse now and you say to me, "Is a line of Coke or is a beer?" It'd be beer all day long for me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I identify with that. But what I do say, I have recovered from a hopeless state of mind. So that's kind of what I do say. I have recovered. And that's what people generally didn't like when I used to share that in meetings. No, you can't say that. I say the fuck I want. It's my recovery. It's my journey. I say I want. You can continue recovering. For me, it's a more powerful statement to come from. Do you know what I mean?
And I get that completely. Yeah, definitely. And I don't understand why other people tell people they can't recover differently to them as well. We all drunk differently, didn't we? Do you know what I mean?
Do you want to know why? Do you want to know why?
Yeah.
The rooms of recovery is full of absolute fucking nut jobs. That's why. We're all fucking nut jobs, and we'll start like trying to control each other. That's fucking
So do you do the you don't do meetings anymore then?
No. So I was in recovery for 4 years. And then my journey I just went a different way. I wouldn't say I sponsor people. I still help people.
Yeah.
I still spend time with people and stuff like that. But I just went on a different journey. I just went on a different journey. I was sober about 4.5 years, and I just went on a different journty. And that was just my intuition. And people were saying to me, if you leave recovery, you'll drink again. I'm like, well, I don't. I believe that's true. 100% true if you don't continue to work on yourself
to do the work,
personal development. And I just went that way, and I've always continued to work on myself. But also as well, I'm a big believer, if you tell someone enough that if you don't come to meetings and you'll drink again, and you believe that, well, that's going to be your fucking reality, and part of it as well. So I come away from it and just went on a different journey. But
and I respect that as well. And who's this? I'm open to thinking that one day I might not do the meetings and everything as well. I don't want to. I'm just taking it each day, like they say that fucking one day at a time and that. But I'm not. I want to be sober for the rest of my life. but I don't necessarily want to have to go to meetings all the time either. So I'm very open to learn. But I think you're right there. You've got to always continue to work on yourself, otherwise, and helping other people, I think, is a massive one as well. Yeah.
And I think the thing is, well, like, is what's really important is when you're on this journey. So when I went into recovery, I become a fucking parrot straight away. I become a parrot. Right? When anyone said to me, I didn't have a clue what was going on in life when I went to recovery. I didn't fucking know who I was, what I was doing. I was, my best thinking got me there. But there's a lot of cliche sayings in recovery. Some of them you just hear, and I just repeated them. Like never had a thought for myself. I just listened to everyone else and I adopted their thoughts. Right.
Yeah.
So just become an instant parrot, just repeating stuff. So I was listening to all the American speakers and repeating stuff, but even just putting some of their stuff into my story that wasn't even my fucking story, because I spent my whole life wanting to be accepted by people and liked, and then I went into recovery and I just wanted to be accepted and liked by everyone in recovery, right? So I become an instant parrot. And then when I started actually so my first sponsor was like a father figure to me, right? He was an East Ender. He was an old gangster, and he was a real tough love. And that's I never had a father figure, and that's what I was really looking for at the time, was someone that was going to say, just this is what you need to do. Not someone who's going to just be all right, Mike. I didn't need that. I'd had my whole life of people telling me it was going to be okay. I needed someone to say, it ain't going to be okay. You need to fucking do this or do that. So I got him as a sponsor at first. And as soon as I went in there, and I can understand why these group of people believed that they were mentally ill. So that was the thing. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that, but you're like you said to me, Mike, you're mentally ill. That's why you're here. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, that kind of makes sense. Makes a hell of a lot of fucking sense in my life. I'm mentally ill. That's why I do what I've done. But here was the problem. This is what they said. Well, once you're mentally ill, you'll always be mentally ill. And it isn't about the drinking, it's about your thinking, which is true, right? But you would have people that didn't drink at all, but they'd have a similar sort of thought to someone that's in the meeting, and they go, oh, you need to come to meetings. And I started questioning it. I'm like people walking down the street, and if they, when you're walking down the street, I don't know if you guys do it, and it's like, you got the slabs and you just avoid the cracks. And if someone done that, they go, oh, you're an alcoholic, you need to come to meetings. And I'm like, hold on a minute, this ain't a bit fucking. So then I just started questioning things myself. And I'm like, well, maybe I was mentally ill, but I don't feel mentally ill anymore. I'm not mentally ill now. I'm actually making progress in my life. I'm feeling better. I feel like I've recovered from a hopeless state of mind. Like, life is getting better, because what happened is I started using it as an excuse. So, 2 years sober, I was a fucking arsehole to someone. Oh, it's because I'm mentally ill. That's why. And it just become this crutch for me. So that's when about three and a half years in, I really started questioning things, just started thinking for myself. And then I was encouraged not to think for myself, because my best thinking got me there. And then that's when I knew I was on the right path of thinking for myself, when the maths tell you not to think for yourself. But yeah, that was kind of like my journey into it. And I don't have a bad thing to say about recovery, and the people in there were fucking amazing. But then when you do step back, you have got a room, and look, this is your responsibility if you're going to recovery and you're in there, is to learn to start listening to your intuition, because your intuition fucking trumps everything.
You're spot on.
I understand at the beginning when you first go in, you haven't got a fucking clue what that is, and you go, go on, you was going to say something, man. No.
Yeah, well, I had exactly the same experience with you. Nearly 2 years in now, and the first year, it was making me chuckle a little bit when you said that, because of that parrot thing. I just hear stuff that sounded good and go to another meeting and relay it, exactly what you just said. And it wasn't until about a year I started taking it in and what they actually meant by these sayings. They were just cool, quirky sayings at first, do you know what I mean? But that is fascinating to hear you say that. It really is. It blows my mind still to this day. Do you know what I mean? Like speaking to people about this sort of stuff, you learn something every single day, don't you? And even about yourself by other people's experiences. I'd love to hear about your story from where you first started and how you ended up to where you're at now, if that's possible.
Yeah, cool, man. Cool. So, like most, I started drinking at a young age, and as it's a very common story. When I drunk, I just generally felt like I had this. Now I look at it, it's just false confidence. That's what it was. Like you know, a lot of people say, well, why did you drink? Did you do this? And this is something that I always want to share with people. It's like I wasted 3 years of my life trying to figure out why I drunk, right? Wasted 3 years living in the past, trying to figure it out. Was it because dad didn't buy me a pony when I was fucking 6? Was it because mum shouted at me when I was 7? What was the reason why I became an alcoholic? And in the end, I just like, look, fuck, trying to find out why I become an alcoholic. Let's just focus on forward thinking and moving forward in my life. But as I've done that and I've stopped trying to figure out why, I kind of, there's a lot of little things that have gone on in my life that have kind of, are like, oh, right, like from a very young age, I just really lacked confidence and self-belief. I was diagnosed with dyslexia at a relatively young age, and I just always felt, and you hear this in the rooms as well, it's a bit of a cliche saying, but I just felt so fucking odd compared to everyone else. I just felt so different. But again, I don't necessarily say that may be an alcoholic, because I hear that from a lot of people that ain't alcoholics, that they feel a bit weird and they feel a bit odd. But I'll tell you one thing is one thing I do know is I did not like myself, right? I did not like myself. And here's the thing, when you don't like yourself and you don't really, you don't care for yourself much or don't like yourself, then what you're going to start doing is trying to be a watered down version of someone else. So I learned very earlier on is to start, well, I want to be like Johnny over there, or I want to be like Paul over there, because I would do anything not to be me, right? And at a young age, I started doing that. I started trying to be everyone else and a watered down version of everyone else, because I was just trying to escape from me because I didn't like me. Then I found this thing called alcohol, and I was like, this is fucking amazing. Like, I've got this confidence and self-belief, and you know, I think I've become an alcoholic because it just allowed me to talk to women at the beginning. Like, I always say that. It's like, yeah, I just had this confidence going to speak to women. It just got me laid a bit quicker when I was younger. So I blame women for me becoming an alcoholic, right? God blame someone. It just started off at a young age, and I just started drinking. And again, similar story. It started off 1 day a week, then it became 2 days and 3 days. And then the more and more I drank, it just allowed me to escape from me, right? And allowed me to be this false kind of person. And then, you know, what I wanted was more of that, because I just wanted to escape myself more and more. It's like, again, you hear it in recovery, it's that hole in the soul, that complete disconnect, and alcohol used to fill it for a period of time. And again, guys, nothing like it just escalated. It took over. Like, I'd come in my nans, I'd steal money for drink and drugs, and cocaine got into the mix. I started using cocaine. And then I started using, just towards the end of my drinking, I started experimenting with crack. Started using crack. Lucky enough, that didn't go as far as it did with some other friends, sort of thing. I got into recovery relatively early, but drink was always my thing. That was always my thing. Like now, like I said to you guys, if I was to relapse or anything, and there was a table full of drugs and drink, and it would always be the alcohol. You know, it would have always be the alcohol would be my poison, sort of thing. And but on this journey through that, like alcohol is a great magnifier. I think alcohol magnifies who you truly are at your core, right? And I was just a fucking selfish, self-centered arsehole, and I didn't care about anyone or anything. I didn't care what I'd done, who I harmed. I was quite violent. Done some horrendous things to people. I used to come to my nan and granddad's house only to steal money for drink and drugs. You know, I stole thousands from them. And I wasn't a nice person to be around. And I remember a particular time, and funny enough, me and my wife had just come back from Budapest, and we went out there for 4 days, just for a little city break. And we was talking out there, and we were just saying about our journeys. My wife is recovered as well. That's where we met, in recovery. And here's the thing, right? So they tell you not to meet people in recovery. I met my wife in recovery, and we've got 4 beautiful kids, and we're happily married. I know that doesn't happen for everyone, right? She was about 8-9 months sober, and I was about 2 years sober, so we had some understanding. So again, another rule that's in there, and I don't think that's a bad rule, because people get together within the first week and they're fucking batshit crazy. We had the time we've been away, and it was a beautiful time, right? We had this time when we was talking, and I was just saying about my ex, And we was talking about it. And I said, I'll always have love in my heart for her. I'm not in love with my ex. I just have love in my heart. And I could speak to my wife about this. And I was saying, like, I love her because she really did help me. She went out of her way. She put up with the worst of me. Like, I'll give you an example. She was pregnant and I was in the pub with my friend and I got a phone call and it was her sister. And she said, Mike, where are you? And I said, I'm out. I'm in the pub. And she went, you need to get home because my ex is losing the baby and you need to get home. Now, this was a Saturday, football was on. I'd done a few fucking lines of gear. I'd been drinking and I was like, okay. And I put the phone down. I turned to my mate and I remember it as clear as day. And I said, I went, fucking typical. It has to happen on a Saturday when I'm out drinking, doing drugs, right? Mm. Did I go straight away? No, I stayed there for another hour and a half. I didn't give a fuck about anyone. And then I went to the hospital. I convinced her to stay in hospital. Like, she was like, no, I want to come home. I was like, no, you've got to stay in hospital. There's going to do something. No, you need to stay. You need to stay. And her sister convinced her. But in my head, great, she's in hospital. She's going to be in there for 4 days. I can get women back to our flat and I can have a few parties back at our flat. That's just the level of thinking that I had. Didn't give a fuck about anyone or anything, right, except myself. And it just escalated. And that selfishness and that self-centeredness and that guilt and shame, right? And guilt and shame is a beautiful thing. Guilt and shame is a beautiful thing. And what I've learned now, and this is what I talk to a lot of people about, like, people spend their lives trying to get rid of parts of themselves, right? Like guilt and shame. I don't want the guilt and shame. Like, guilt and shame is your guideline. Guilt and shame is perfectly designed to bring your attention and awareness to areas of your life that you need to improve. So all this time I was trying to get rid of guilt and shame, but still doing the actions of an arsehole. Like, I was still doing the things and I was getting this guilt and shame. And I was like, I just don't want the guilt and shame. But the guilt and shame is there just to bring my attention and awareness to the fact that I was completely out of alignment with fucking who I was and what I was. And it was just trying to wake me up to the fact of who I was being in the world and what I was doing. But it was me that was drinking more and more. And I know it's a big thing for men, guilt and shame, like for killing themselves and stuff like that. But my alcohol just escalated. The consequences got worse. You know, and I could go into loads of stories and stuff like that. We all know the stories, you know, fucking sitting in a little box room, sniffing cocaine, sitting there looking at the curtains all fucking night, wanking yourself all night. And then next day, I had a really good night last night.
Just had a fucking flashback.
Yeah. It was a fucking good night. What'd you do? Sat in my room looking out the window, wanking myself silly. Like, great night, right? And that was basically where it took me to. It just took me, it took me to a place that suicide wasn't like a passing thought. It become a constant companion of mine of just ending it. Because like I did not know how to stop or how to get out of it. I did not know what to do. Right. I was I was lost, man.
Did you ever come close to ending it all then? Or was it with me, I've said in the past that I used it as like a comfort blanket, really. It was always like that thought come into my head constantly, but it was almost as if to think, I can do that if things get worse, in a sort of way of taking control. And I don't actually know, apart from one time, if I would have actually gone through with it. I think I'll just use the thought as a comfort. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think definitely there was at times it was a cry for help. Like, I would tell people, I just keep thinking about killing myself. People are like, what the fuck are you going on about? And I'm like, you know, just share the stories and things. But I think it was more of at the beginning, I think it was more of a sympathy thing. I feel sorry for me or something like that. But then there was a time that my mum called. I was sitting in my little room, my little box room, and I had a load of pills and tablets. And I'd been up, I don't know, a couple of nights of drinking drugs and things like that, and just sitting there with the cocaine and that. And I did all these tablets. And my mum come down. I just broke down. I was like, I can't carry on with this. I can't go on anymore. My mum's like, right, we need to get you in somewhere. We need to get you some help. And I went, all right. And this is a crazy thing. I went, I just need to go to sleep. And she went, all right. So I went to sleep for 3 hours. I got up. And I'd say that was the closest. I had all the pills and that. And my mum come down. She's like, what the fuck are you doing? I was just like, oh, I can't go on anymore. And I was just looking at these pills ready to eat. I don't know 100% if I would have. I don't know. I was sitting there looking at them. I was drinking more, sniffing more. Who knows? But I definitely felt that there was this like, I just want to check out. I don't want to be here. And then I went to sleep for 3 hours, woke up, had a bath, I went, right, I'm going out now, Mum. Where are you going? I went, I'm going down the pub. And she went, but last night, I'm like, no, I'm all right now, Mum. I've had some sleep. I've had a bath. I'm all right. And then I just went down the pub and just continued doing the same thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's a bit of both, buddy. I think it was a bit of both. I think it was a cry for help. And then there was times when it was like, I was considering it. But one of the things as well is people usually that are going to commit suicide don't usually tell people about it.
Yeah.
That's one thing. It's the people that you don't expect and they don't tell anyone about it. And I think for most, it was a cry for help. I wanted help and I didn't know. And just when I add to this as well, like I've spoke to people that ain't alcoholics, right? And they've opened up. And I said to them, when I said about this, about wanting to kill myself, and I said, now what I have found, I said, this is more common than people lead on to believe. I said, because when you're in a sticky spot, you're struggling and you don't know how to change, the mind will throw up the best solutions it knows how to get out of pain. And sometimes the mind will say, well, to get out of this, your wife's cheated on you, or the drink, or this, or that, is to kill yourself, right? And I've had people go to me, I've had thoughts of that, and I've never shared it with anyone before. And they're not alcoholics. Do you know what I mean? They're just people, and I think for us, it's a solution. Sometimes it's just a solution that's thrown out there because the mind wants to get you out of pain. That's all it wants to do. Is just get you out of that pain, and that's
Jack, when you were having them thoughts, what's your thoughts on that?
Well,
because you've been in that situation, haven't you?
Yeah, no, I think for me, I was very much one of those people where no one actually suspected anything was going on. I mean, I've had I was very open. It was probably early last year, sometime that I really opened up about my times where I was suicidal. And when I did that, I was inundated with a lot of messages from people who knew me back at my. Yeah, we've got 10. Yeah, so I was inundated with messages from people going, Jack, I had no idea. I'm so sorry, and they're all so apologetic, and I went, no. I said, you've got nothing to be sorry about. Like, it was very much a personal thing. Those are my thoughts. You guys were doing everything right. I wasn't prepared at the time to actually open up and talk to anyone that I was going through these problems. I just wanted to end it, and. For me personally, it was just the thought of family. The family was what turned me around. I couldn't bring myself to actually go through with it because all I could picture was like police turning up at my mum's house and like my grandparents and breaking the news to them and just seeing them broken and destroyed of the news of that. And that for me was enough for me to make a change and change course on what I was doing with my life. I see every day people who will make attempts at their own life or self-harm as a cry for help or cry for a bit of attention or manipulation, unfortunately, in some cases as well. So I'm very familiar with it. It's fortunately or unfortunately, it's become a part of my life that I'm very familiar with. And I mean, everyone experiences it differently. I know, Sam, you obviously you've spoken about your times when you kind of thought like it was always going to be that's like you go to just in case, like if it gets bad, like I can always.
I think it was like as a weird way of trying to take back control. Lost all fucking control of my life, and just having that thought become a bit of a. I always say I think I was just as much addicted to the emotion of depression as I was any other substance. Even though sitting in depression, it was a feeling, and it was a feeling I was used to. So even then, I come out of it, I fucking used to drag myself back into it, and used to sit there and almost enjoy the fucking self pity and the poor me,
Yeah. I fucking remember. I remember that. I do well. I remember that. I would.
The thing, Michael, the thing that strikes me about your story, and it actually gave me goosebumps when you were talking previously. I truly believe, and I say to a lot of people that reach out, I'm sure you get a lot of people message you on Instagram and that as well. But I truly believe that you need to be able to get honest with yourself, and you by sharing that with your ex-missus in the hospital and everything, you've got the ability to get honest with yourself. Do you think that some people are just incapable of getting honest with themselves, and that's what keeps them
Mate,
ill?
the first thing is personal responsibility, ownership, being honest. If you can't do that, if you live in fucking la la land, you're fucked. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, you're fucked if you can't be honest with yourself. There's someone that I know that struggles, but they refuse. All they do is spend their time pointing their finger at other people. Oh, he's smoking, he's drinking that. I'm like, bro, but the fucking shit you stuck up your nose at the like, I know that you're doing. Oh yeah, but they can't be honest. You know, and I said that, like, my first addiction was lying. That was my first addiction. My first addiction for anything was lying about who I was, my name, everything. You know, I just lied about everything to try and be accepted by people. I just wanted to be accepted by people because I couldn't accept myself. But honesty is the key. Like, I had someone reach out to me before, and he said, Mike, you shouldn't share what you're sharing online because people will use it against you. I said, bro, I'm an open book. I will share everything, anything I've done, everything I've done. I said, because then no one's got fucker on me. Someone says, hey, Mike, about that time you was in your fucking room wanking yourself silly all night. I'm like, I've already shared that, you silly prick. Like, there's nothing. There ain't nothing on me. I've shared it all. I've shared it all. You know, I've done.
Yeah, I'm the same as well, and I think being honest and getting honest is what keeps me well anyway. So I'm probably the same as you, and I'm the same because I see the old me as a different person anyway. So I'll share all their mistakes so it helps other people in the future. You know,
and it's important. Like, what I do every day, I get up. I say to myself, what do I regret? What did I do yesterday that I regret? Or maybe I was short with my wife. Maybe I got after my eldest boy a little bit because he was getting on my tits, or you know, maybe I broke. Maybe I ate more calories than I was supposed to eat. Okay, if that's what I regret, I'm not going to do that again today. So I have a simple process of just simplifying my life. It's like, what is it I regretted from yesterday, and being honest with myself.
And checking your behaviour.
Yeah, because if I live in la la land, that I don't have challenges, I don't have struggles. I don't have days where things are a challenge for me, or people rub me up the wrong way. Well, people don't rub me up the wrong way, but I don't get pissed off. Do you know what I mean? You're living in la land. You have to check. It's the key thing is checking in for yourself.
I have to, because I was exactly the same as you. I was a fucking notorious liar, and I still am to some points. I have to pull myself up on it now because I've done it for so long. It's hard to break that habit, and I'll notice myself. I don't lie like I used to, but I will catch myself making a little white lie, and then I have to correct it instantly and say, "No, I fucking made that up." Then. Do you know what I mean? People look at me like, what the fuck?
That's the worst thing, isn't it? That's the worst thing. Oh, shit, I've just lied there. Why did you do that?
Yeah, why are you late? Car broke down. No, I was just on a drag.
I love the fact you come on here and you went, oh, look, we're fucking unorganised and all that. I'm like, I can respect that. When people go to me, you know what? I'm being a lazy fat fuck. I ain't training. I ain't eating my calories. I've not been shut up to court. I've not been doing this. I've not been doing that. Great. Fucking kudos. We've got something to work on now. Instead of you bullshitting and lying to me, right, about it, like making some story or some excuse up. There's nothing you could do with that. There's nothing you can do with it. Nothing you can do.
And that's where the growth is as well. But I keep being honest and everything. I generally believe in fucking like law of attraction, all that sort of stuff. I don't know what your views are on it, but I do generally believe one little white lie will trip you up bigger down the road. Like.
And here's the thing as well: is when you start on this journey, when we get into this, when we're making changes in our life, don't expect because you've decided to make a change that's going to be it. Like you said there, the lying. It took me a long time to stop lying. I would just lie, even recovery years, and stop lying, right? And send these little white I don't even like the word little white lies. You're either a fucking liar or you're not. That's it. It's just lying. That's it. You're just lying, right? It took me fucking years and years. And this is the thing. People get into something. Honesty is key, mate. It's crucial. It is crucial. If you can't get honest with yourself, you're in serious trouble. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
When did you start to get honest then? Where did that switch come from?
I wasn't. I for the first you know, for the first 15 months, when I first went in, first 15 months, I wasn't honest. I was still fucking around with other girls behind my girlfriend's back at the time. You know, I was still meeting girls and stuff like that, and I wasn't drinking, obviously, or doing drugs. And yeah, I was still just fucking about. I wasn't honest for at least I can't exactly remember, but I know like 15 months, 2 years, I was still acting. I was basically like the drink had gone, and I'd kind of done parts of the program, and life had improved a bit, but I wasn't giving myself fully to it. I wasn't 100% all in on it. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't fully committed to it. And there was part of me that didn't believe that I would ever follow through with it all completely, because I'd never followed through with anything, you know, in my life. So I would probably say 2 years, and then what happened? There's an event. My ex-girlfriend finished with me, and I was in so much pain, like so much pain. So there was this cycle that we used to go around. So I was living with her, and I used to say to her, she'd just say something, I'd get the ump, and I'd go, right, and I'd get a black sack, start putting my clothes in it, and I'd go, right, I'm leaving, that's it, I'm done. And she'd start crying. So obviously someone with low self-esteem like myself that needs validation from other people, as soon as she started crying, and that kind of gave me the validation. It's like, oh, cool, then like she cares about me. All right, I'll stay then. And then one time I went, right, I'm fucking done. I was doing this repeatedly. I'm right, I'm done. And she went, do you know what? Good. I want you to go. Fuck off. And I was like, oh, that's a pattern interrupt. Like that one's I was like, actually, no, I'm not good. And she went, no, I want you to go. Fuck off. And I was in bits, like absolute bits, because again, I hadn't healed that side of me. What was getting my sense of worth, my sense of worth outside of myself. You know, my self-worth outside of me. And then when she finished with me, I was like, fuck, like, who's going to want me now? I'm going to be on the shelf. I'm sober. And that was a time that I came back. I was at my nan's. I was living at my nan's, and I came back, and there was drink. And I was like fucking seriously stalking, messaging her every day, 80 missed calls, phoning her. She wasn't answering the phone. She was just like, leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you. And I was doing that, right, that's it. I'm going to end it. I'm going to kill myself. And I was just laying in my bedroom crying fucking for days, just laying in there crying for days. And I remember going downstairs, and there was a drink there, and I looked, and I was like, I just need to change the way I feel about myself. But it's like someone said, if you really wanted to drink, you would have drunk. And I don't think I really wanted to. There was that fleeting thought, and I looked at it, and I was like, no. And I didn't, you know. But the one thing I would say is, when I was drinking, doing drugs, one of the things I did struggle with as well was gambling, and that took me longer in recovery. That took me longer. I think it was about, you know, five years. Now and again, I would go back to that. Do you know what I mean? Right. That become the thing to change the way I felt about myself.
Yeah.
You know? So I know that when I'd walk into the bookies, I'd start gambling. I'd be like, oh, I know there's something going on for me. I know I'm at this at the moment because I'm using this to change the way I feel about myself.
Yeah, and it sounds like you did that with women a bit as well, change the way you felt.
Yeah, definitely.
That's quite common as well, I think, when people give up the booze and drugs at first, they just use women in the same way as what they'd use a drink and a drug, really.
Porn, women, I got gaming, World of Warcraft. I'd sit there playing World of Warcraft. I literally took 6 months and didn't leave a bedroom. I was in recovery. The only time I left my bedroom was to go to a meeting. I'd come back, be playing World of Warcraft for like 18, 19 hours a day. That was fucking torture. That was torture. Yeah. That was all through the early stages of recovery. Because again, I was going through it, but I was still just trying to get away from me. That's all I was trying to get away from me, and using any means possible, right?
Yeah.
You know, any means possible.
Your honesty is inspiring, mate. What do you do now to keep these things in check then? What I know you go to the gym a lot. I know you help a lot of people, but what's your day like? What's your average day like? What's your routine?
My routine usually starts about 3:30. My alarm goes off. I'm up. Well, say it goes off about 3:20 in the morning. I'm up.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And like, understand this, anyone that listens to this or anything like this, like I share what I do and what works for me.
Yeah.
The guys that come on my program, I give them like things to do, like a blueprint or something like that. Like guys that want to come in, because I kind of look at it like this, is to get in shape mentally and physically, right? You know, the mind lives inside the body, right? If the body looks like shit and you're stuffing shit inside it, it's going to affect your mind. If your body looks good, but you don't work on your fucking mental health and you and sharpen up on your mindset, right? You're going to look good, but you're going to feel like shit. So I look at it like this, guys. Let's fucking like get in shape, right? Get yourself moving. We'll work on the mindset, work on that. And then as you level up in those areas, everything else kind of falls into place. Like your relationships get better, you're more present with your kids. And all this kind of thing, like real for me now is like helping dads. I never had a father growing up. Never had my father did not give a flying fuck about me. And I remember that pain. That was painful for me. Now, when I see dads that are drinking, taking drugs and neglecting their kids and stuff like that, that really pains me to see that. So really like, I do this with dads because I want dads. I want dads to be more present with their kids. Like we live in a fucking batshit shit crazy time, and if dads aren't present with their kids, you'll have your little boys wanting to cut their fucking balls and dicks off and be a fucking little girl because they're being brainwashed by someone else outside there. And like I'm like really big. I'm like, we need to be stronger as fathers and men so we can help our kids grow up. Be strong, stand for our daughters and for our kids. So like routine starts at 3:20. My alarm goes off. I'm up out of bed straight away. I go down, I'll have a water, I'll make myself a coffee, I'll do my meditation, I'll do my little bit of reading. I'm at the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's an hour's routine. Then I come back and then I'll start have some breakfast and have some something to eat, and then engage with the family, have another coffee, and then like it could be one of the routines that I took on because I don't really like doing it, but I took it on was like ironing the kids' clothes. It became a ritual for me that they're in the morning ironing their school stuff for them, you know, and then I just go about my day, just being of service, coaching the guys, doing whatever comes up, you know, during the day. And then in the evenings, I'm in bed pretty early, sort of thing, like usually no later than 9:30, 10 o'clock. I'm in bed ready to get up. But a big thing for me is my routines, my habit and routines. You know, like one of the things a lot of people when they come into recovery, they're like, oh, you know, I lack commitment, I lack discipline, I lack discipline, I lack commitment. I'm like you do not lack commitment and discipline. To become a fucking alcoholic, you are the most disciplined person on the planet.
Yeah.
Now, right? You are the most committed motherfucker. That like how I lived my life, I was disciplined, committed, and consistent. So what I do is I get people to see that they think there's things lacking from their life, or they need to get rid of things out of their life. And everything we have is perfectly designed to work for us. It's just showing people how to do that. So all it is like, where your focus goes, your energy goes, results show. So if you're focused on the drinking and the drugs, and like guys don't have a purpose, they don't have nothing they're working towards. So then they'll sort of go for pleasure seeking activities and they're all over the place. So we get them focused on something that's important to them, something that's driving them. Like for me, it's like being an example for my kids, being an inspiration to other men that are struggling, that want to make a change, right? Get that purpose. And then, getting them on that purpose and getting them in a direction that's moving them, using all that discipline, commitment, and consistency that they've done before to fucking become overweight, drink, and fucking all the shit they've done, and just use that energy in a different direction. You know, that's all I've ever done. I spent my life trying to get rid of parts of Michael, and then I just kind of realized, like, go, you know, you got an ego. Well, guess what? So fucking everyone. Like you're in your life trying to get rid of your ego. I ain't gonna bother doing that anymore. I'm just gonna use it because everyone's got a fucking ego.
Yeah, I think use your ego to your advantage. As long as you're using your ego to help others and everything, where's the fucking harm in it? Do you know what I mean? Exactly. Because I've used my ego for a lot worse in the past. You know what I mean?
That's it. Yeah. I've used my discipline, commitment, and consistency. When I was drinking, I was a disciplined motherfucker of going out and chasing skirt. Like I was disciplined in that. Disciplined of getting the money for drink and drugs. I was disciplined, and people like they go, oh, you know, I can't do this. I'm not disciplined. I'm like, look at the results you're getting in your life now. That is a result of discipline, consistency, and commitment. That's great because now we can use that to get the results that you say you want in your life. You know.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm massive on having a routine. You know, for me, it's about really focusing on not the doing so much, but who I'm being in the world. You know, Yeah, the man that in order to get better results, a lot of people focus on, well, what do I need to do? And it's not what you need to do, it's who you need to become. You know,
Yeah.
who you need to become.
Yeah, and one thing that I really learned from your Instagram the other day as well was when you said about doing the stuff that you say you're going to do, and you shared that one time you said you were going to do something and your missus called you up on it and was like, yeah, and it made you think. And if you say something out loud, that's what I pride myself on now as well. You've got to go through with it, because otherwise you and even recently I've made the mistake of saying something, I haven't done it, and it's fucking bothered me. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be that guy anymore.
Well, the beautiful thing about it bothering you is that is bringing your attention and awareness to the fact that you've leaked in, like it's a massive way of leaking energy by saying,
yeah,
I'm going to do this, and then you don't. So again, yeah, what I said, it was just tracking my food. It was about a year ago, and I was like tracking my macros and my calories and stuff like that. And I'd stopped for a little bit, and she went, "Oh, doing that again, are you?" And I was like, "Yeah." She went, I don't know why you bother. You'll fucking give it up after a little while. And I was just like, here's the thing: is like straight away, like our wives are really good at this. Our partners are really good at it. They're really good at shining a light on areas of our lives that we really need to look at. So I'm about to say, you cheeky, what the fuck? Like, and start pointing holes in her life, right? I didn't, and I can't wait for it. And I was like, it's funny because that's how my wife sees me, and I don't want her to see me like that. That's not how I want her to see me. That's not how I want to be in the world. A man that's making empty promises or saying things and not following through with it or stopping it. So that really kind of kicked me up the arse to fucking go, right, let's get consistent with this. Let's show up and do this, you know. Kids as well. My oldest boy, he fucking holds me accountable. Like if I say to him, he ain't forgetting it. He ain't forgetting it, you know?
Yeah. You're the football manager of him now, aren't you?
No, that's my middle boy. That's my middle boy. Yeah, that's
so how many boys have you got?
Well, I've got 3 boys and 1 girl.
Yeah. Mate.
A 9-year-old, 7-year-old, my daughter's 5, and my baby boy is 19 months. He is.
Yeah. That's incredible, mate. And that just shows you what's on offer if you change your life around, doesn't it?
Yeah, man. Yeah. I again, like when I went into recovering, this guy said you can have a life beyond your wildest dreams. I didn't know what he was going on about. I was like, hey, and he's like, you can have a life beyond your wildest dreams, like, you know. And I didn't know what that looked like. Like just at that time, all I wanted to do was just stop drinking. I just didn't want to pour alcohol down my throat anymore. I used to sit at the social, not social club, like at this gym I used to go to. I used to sit there and I'd see a woman and a bloke down below, and they were just sitting there reading the paper, having a coffee, and the kids playing tennis, having tennis coaching. And I used to look at that and I used to think, but this is a funny thing. I sit there and think, I just want to be fucking normal. Like that's all I want is just to be normal. But once I experienced normal, I was like, fuck that. I don't want to be normal. In fact, I quite like not being normal and being the fucking odd one out. So yeah, no, I definitely don't identify as someone that's normal. I kind of want that. And I was like, fuck that. I don't like this normal stuff. Normal people follow the herd and they do what everyone else is doing. I'm like, that's not me, you know.
Yeah.
But that was it. Go on.
I love seeing your Instagram with you and your kids and that as well. It's very inspiring. And and generally I was saying to Jack before we come on, like there's not many people, well, there is a few people that inspire me, but you were generally one of them, and I appreciate your content, and I'm so glad that I come across your page. If anyone is listening to this, how do they find you on Instagram?
Just on Instagram. Do you know what? I think it's I don't know, let me tell you, I don't even know what my handle is. It's I'm pretty sure it's there we go, what's it? The Micheal Hilton. So my name's spelled different. It's Micheal Hilton. The Micheal Hilton. That's where people will find me, and that's where I spend most of my time is on Instagram. Yeah.
I'd like to invite you to do a live with me on there soon as well, if you're up for it. And
definitely, man.
Yeah, and if you're up for connecting in the future, we'll have to definitely meet up and do a part 2, but face to face and have a coffee and everything, mate.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm fucking up for that. I love coffee. I've just spent 4 days in Budapest drinking the fucking place.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Every coffee shop possible in Budapest. It drives my wife fucking crazy. It does.
It looked like you had a good time though, mate.
Yeah, it was fucking lovely, mate. It's a beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful city. It's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good, really good. And yeah, it's lovely out there, man. Lovely. I'd highly recommend it as a short city break. It's nice.
Just to kind of finish off, I mean, you've already shared some real like good words of wisdom, but if you had like one bit of advice that you'd want to give to someone who's maybe going through the early stages of when you were really, really struggling, what would that be? What would you offer them?
I would offer them, if I could say one thing, that what would offer them is be as selfish as fuck, right? And work on yourself. Like really like let everyone know that you're really gonna just give this your all. Don't focus on anything that's going on outside. And when I say selfish, like I don't mean selfish where you neglect your wife and your kids, but what I mean is like, you know, I just had to let go of so-called friends. They were so-called friends. I soon found out what friends meant when I got sober, right? I had a lot of associates, not friends. And I hear this a lot from people. Oh, but you know, what about my friends? Look, I'll be honest with you. If people encourage you to drink, they ain't your fucking friend.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that now. They're not your fucking friends. They're they're just clowns that just like fucking seeing you like getting drunk and doing fucking weird shit, whatever it is, right? So focus on yourself. I had to literally cut away so many people. I focused on me. And like one thing is control the controllable. Stop looking outside of yourself, everything, and trying to control things outside yourself. You can only control how you respond and react to external things, right? So start working on that and just go within, because that's where it all is. I spent all the time looking outside myself, trying to fix myself, and that didn't work. It's all within here. You know?
That's spot on, mate. And that's where the law of attraction comes in as well. I share it quite a bit, but it's no coincidence when you're drinking and taking drugs, you're sat on a sofa with people that are drinking and taking drugs. And the people that you're scared of losing when you go on into sobriety are the people that are holding you back anyway. And I mean that with the utmost respect to people that I've known in my past, but people hold you back. And when you go onto a different path, the right people will come into your life, and people in the if I was still taking drugs and sniffing cocaine, I wouldn't be having a conversation with you right now. And fucking the amount of growth all three of us have probably had in this conversation is insane. And that's because we're searching for the answers, and you draw the right people into your life. And if the only other time we probably would have met is if we're both fucking sniffing cocaine and I was trying to rip each other off.
It's like I said, rip each other off. One of my famous ones is like I'd let you, Sam, get some gear, and then I'd go to the dealer after and I'd get some gear, but you wouldn't know I had gear, and I'd sniff all your gear. Once all your gear was sniffed, I'd slip off home and then start sniffing my gear.
Yeah, I do.
And if Jack got gear as well, I'd hang around and sniff his gear, then I'd fuck off and sniff mine. But no, it's true what you said. Like, and I said it earlier, and this is like, you know, where your focus goes, your energy goes, results show. You're focused on drinking, your energy's at drinking. That's who you're going to surround yourself with. You're not going to surround yourself with people that are on a trajectory that ain't drinking, that are getting in shape, that are improving their lives. You're going to focus on that, you know? So, you know, a lot of these people, honestly, they're not your friends. When you stop, you soon realize. And I've just met so many amazing people just through sharing and stuff like that, that just new friends. Like, I've still got some old friends that supported me. Most of everyone else, I don't really speak to anymore, you know?
Yeah, and you're right with that, and the same with me. Do you know what I mean? If anything, you're better off for it, aren't you? You just don't realise it at the time.
The circle gets smaller, and that's a good thing, because you have less drama in your life.
Yeah, it's less complicated. Life's less complicated with smaller circles, especially. You've got a smaller circle, but a better quality one. When you fucking when your circle's bigger, there's lots of leaks in it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
the last thing you need is fuckers drilling holes in your boat. That's the last thing you need, you know what I mean? You just get a small little crew.
So true.
You don't need people drilling holes in your fucking boat, you know? And look, here's the thing, like you said, and I'll finish on, that's the famous words in recovering, I'll finish on. When you're on this journey, like you say, when you're on this journey, it's gone. What I was going to say is gone, so I wasn't supposed to say it. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, you got to get up in fucking half an hour anyway.
Yeah,
mate.
I've got. I won't bother going to sleep.
Yeah, like the olden days.
Yeah, like the old ones are going to pull an all nighter.
Yeah, mate. Truly, again, though, mate, you're proper inspiration. I want to show so much gratitude towards you because your page really does help me, and that's what I look for. I look for on Instagram what I try and be to others myself, and you're certainly that for me. So thank you, mate.
And look, I appreciate the message you're putting out there, and your 2 years sobriety, man. Like that they're the tough. The beginning. And you do this, and this is what I will say. I was in the baths out in Budapest, and I was going from the ice cold bath to the warm to the ice cold bath, and I said to a guy in there, I said the ice cold baths was going into my neck and people coming in and they're dipping their toe in. I went, just get in. I said, it's like changing your life. At the beginning, it's really fucking uncomfortable. But if you stay in there for a few minutes, your mind settles down and it becomes a lot easier. The beginning of recovery is always going to be the challenge. But if you stick with it, I promise you, after a period of time, if you're going through and doing the right things, it will get easier. It will get easier.
100%. I practice cold water therapy every single day. Yeah, every day. I don't know if you're aware, but we've done a challenge down here. I had to bring it up, Jack.
I don't know if you're aware of it or anything.
Yeah.
Oh no! Hold on. Did he win the challenge?
Oh yeah, he done this thing.
He would have said it if he didn't win the challenge.
I started off doing I'd done 30 days of cold showers when I was at low point a couple of years ago, and I noticed they really helped. So I put online that I was going to go in the North Sea every single day for a year because I wanted to practice discipline with myself. Yeah. And I went in the water on the first day on my own, and then day 2. A couple of people joined me, day 3, and then I completed 365 days going down. But the whole community of my hometown got involved, and over 300 odd people come in and everything. I got voted for a Pride of Britain for it, so I went from being a hopeless addict to a Pride of Britain finalist. You know what I mean? And that's because I put structure and discipline into my life. Do you know what I mean? And I haven't missed a day. Well, I say I fucking lied again because I've missed 1 or 2 days, but I haven't missed hardly any cold water therapy ever since. I do it pretty much every day. And
that's the thing about it. It's not so much about the getting into the sea. It's forging that discipline. It's who you need to become to have that discipline every day. And like I say with the guys, it's about getting in shape. It's not about getting in shape. It's who you need to become to do that, right? Because the person that's in shape, that discipline, that grit, that determination, that resilience that you build in yourself, that's the character. That's what we work on, is building that character. So like you say there,
absolutely,
that's
mate.
key to it.
So it made me chuckle when you put on your story the other day that the people that were struggling the most were the big blokes with the tattoos, because
I honestly,
because there was hundreds of different characters that come down and done this cold water thing. There's still a massive group that does it today, like the Dare to Dip thing. But the people that struggled the most were the big blokes with the tattoo. And and do you know why they struggled as well? Because they get up to their knees and they let their mind take over, and they stay there. And you're spot on. And what I'd encourage everyone to do is get your shoulders in straight away. Don't give you time. Don't give you time to talk yourself out of it, because you will. And the people that stood there were struggling the most were just stood there up to their knees. And you've got to get in. You got to get your shoulders under, and you just got to get your breathing back under control.
It's that's the same as recovery. Just be aware that what you do is your mind will negotiate with you, and your mind will look for the easier, softer options. And that's one thing. That's why I get up at 3:30 in the morning, because it's something that's uncomfortable, and I don't negotiate with myself. I get up, and my mind is like, go back to sleep. It's cold, it's tired, it's whatever. I don't negotiate with it, because I'm just building that resilience to stop negotiating with my mind, because my mind just wants the easier, softer way all the time. You know what it wants.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate this tonight, mate, and I look forward to connecting with you again in the future, brother.
Good meeting with you, Jack.
Yes, Michael, lovely to meet you. Thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
And let me know when you're doing, like, if you're doing something with the sea dips again. I'll bring my boy down and we'll come down to where you're at and come and jump or
Yeah,
something. Do you know what I mean?
I'm doing a thing called Dare to Dip December. I've done it last year as well, where I encourage people to dip or do some form of cold water therapy in every single day in December, if you fancy it.
Yeah, we'll come down.
Last year we done Dare to Dip December, and people from all over the UK got involved. There's people jumping in locks. The challenge is to do 31 days at some form, whether it's a cold shower, jump in the lock and everything. But I have actually just been asked as well. They do a charity dip on Christmas Day for St. Elizabeth Hospice.
Okay.
And they've asked me to be a guest dipper and do a collab with them on Christmas Day. So I don't know if you'd be able to do that with the kids, but you'll have to ask your missus first. You have to ask your missus first.
Yeah, I'll tell her. No,
but we're doing every day in December anyway, mate.
Yeah,
we're there most days.
We'll come down. We'll come down. But yeah, good speaking to you guys. And like I say, I could go on for hours talking about this shit. So it'd be good to see you in person and we can meet up and do one live. That'd be cool as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm buzzing for that.
Great
mate.
stuff.